Hey guys, welcome to another Cigar Chat brought to you live on CigarFederation.com, broadcast around the world in the Armed Forces Radio Network. Thanks for tuning in wherever you are out there in the world today. Robbie Raz from Cigar Federation here with you as always. We've got Logan. We've talked about this. You're relegated back to the dungeon again, huh?
Yeah, I haven't had Jared come down and fix the smoking room, and it's been kind of sad because I haven't really needed it. Because I've been in India, work's been a little crazy, but yeah, I'm out in the garage. I've got the hoodlums in the cul-de-sac that'll probably blow something up during the show. So if you hear voices or screams, it's probably a child lost their limb or something. Who knows? You probably heard one right there, just screaming for bloody murder.
You have good doctors over there, right?
Well, I think so.
Yeah. It's a good neighborhood. You just have to watch out for the kids and the projectiles.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's true. Exactly. But yeah, all's good. I'm back in action. Ready to talk some Veritas.
Cool. We've got Chris Weber from Veritas Cigars joining us. Chris, thanks for taking the time, man.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We've been trying to get Chris on the show for a while, so I'm glad that we're able to sit down and talk about some stuff. You've got some new releases. It came out. I think everything came out at IPCPR. We'll get into those, and then the Veritas Torch, which I know that Logan and I have smoked those, but I don't think I've smoked all three. There's 3 different wrappers, I think, on that one. So we'll get into all that stuff. But since it's the first time we've had you on the show, just kind of the basic stuff. Give us a little bit of your background and the background of the company.
The company's about 4 years young. We've been on the current line of cigars that we've had for about 2 years now. The Torch, we don't even want to talk about the first blends that we put out there. We kind of learned on the fly very early on. Wrong factory, wrong tobacco, wrong production. Found the right chemistry, and we're very happy with where we're at right now. Luis Cuevas over in the DR as Las Lavas, and Tecasa down in Esteli. Luis does the Veritas blend that we just launched this year at IPCPR. It's one of my favorite, more complex cigars I've ever had, let alone been involved with. And down at Tecasa, they do our Torch line and our 412. My partner and I met through a former partner that's no longer involved with us. We both have very varied backgrounds. I'm marketing-based, and he's also marketing-based. But when we come out, it's young and old. Dave's about 62, 63. I'm 31, so we got that right mesh of experience and young enthusiasm that goes along with it.
Experience and cockiness. I like it.
I'm very cocky, yes.
You can't be more cocky. And what do you call me, Rob?
I call you a lot of things.
Well, that's true. That's no joke. Yeah. I'm pretty self-assured. Is that the right term? Self-assured?
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. Sure. You're a
family show.
Yeah, it's a family show, exactly. No, that's yeah. Let's just jump in and talk about the Veritas. That's what I'm smoking right now. And this one, I think this was released at IPCPR, correct?
Yes, sir. This is something that we can't take full credit for. Luis down at Las Lavas, Luis Cuevas, did a really good job with helping us with this. We weren't going to launch it this year. It was something we wanted to work on for a while, and had some help with some outside friends with this, and we kind of perfected it to be our own, mold it. Very complex. I mean, alone you have 4 different fillers within it, from Peruvian, Colombian, Nicaraguan, and Dominican. You got a beautiful Dominican allure binder, and then that Brazilian Arapiraca. So flavorful and smooth. It lights up with a nice kick of spice in the beginning, and then I think for me, it kind of mellows out towards the end. But mellows in that all the flavors kind of mold themselves together and create something beautiful.
Yeah, we were. That was very pretty the way that you said that.
I know. And if you're so self-confident and cocky, why didn't you take full credit for it? I would have said this was my idea.
Dude, I blended it. It's awesome.
I blended it. I created tobacco and everything. I made it rain from the sky. That's what I
made them all myself.
Exactly.
You rolled them all. You blended it. No, obviously we're joking, but no. So that's I'm smoking the Veritas. I lit this up, I don't know, what do you think, Logan, about 45 minutes ago?
Probably.
I'm approaching the midpoint on this. And you're right, it did hit me with some, it was nice flavor right up front, nice rich flavor right up front, some spice right up front. And the spice got, the first probably half inch started to creep up, and I was thinking, oh man, this is going to blow me away. And right at that point, it started to kind of mellow out. Not mellow, but the spice took a step back, rich flavors up front, leathery, some earthy notes in there.
It's definitely got some of those heavy earth tones in it. It's well-rounded. It's not just something that's bland that goes to black. It's like I say, complex. We've had a lot of compliments on it. And that's $6 MSRP.
Yeah.
You just stick at that price. That good.
Exactly. No, this is a really good cigar. I've got another sample here that I'm gonna fire up next week for review. So we'll have that posted up for everybody to check out. And I know we've got some that we're gonna give away tonight as well. We'll get into that a little bit later. So let's talk a little bit about the what is it? The 412. I think that's what Logan's smoking.
The 412 is my baby. It's an interesting story behind it. 412 is the area code for Pittsburgh, which for anybody out there that does not like the Steelers, Penguins, or whatever, you can say whatever you want about the city or the town, but this cigar is absolutely phenomenal. Pennsylvania broadleaf that not a lot of people looked at. You read out there, and very few people do. People that do it well are A.J. Fernandez. Interesting note. We got the leaf from A.J. Fernandez for this cigar, so it's amazing wrapper leaf from one of the guys I kind of look up to whenever I'm down in SLE. Great guy, great company.
Mayimbe, right? Is that what Pennsylvania, right? The Mayimbe, doesn't the AJF Mayimbe? It had the Pennsylvania, right? Wrapper.
I'm not entirely certain myself.
I thought it did.
I don't pay attention to too much about cigars, what's in them, where they're from, except for my own, only because I have to. I just know what I like.
Yeah, touche.
And not to put anybody else down to not have to know anything about their product. I still respect it. But we also have the binder in this is San Andreas, and it's got Pennsylvania filler, which is, again, goes behind the entire thing. My family's from Pittsburgh, so when we created this, I told Carlos down at Tecasa, who was going to help me make this and pick out the right blends and the right tobaccos to make this blend that I ultimately finalized. I said I want to do something that kind of emulates my hometown, even though I'm not from there. My whole family's from there. So I said I'm going to call it 412, so he had the idea to call it AJ. We got the wrapper leaf. We played around with some fillers, found out that the Pennsylvania worked phenomenally. And if you actually see the band, I'm not sure how clear my camera is, but it is in gold print, the 412, and the background is the Fort Pitt Bridge. Again, for you haters in the city of Pittsburgh, you can hate all you want. I can accept that, But if you like this cigar, you can't hate it just because it has the 412 logo on it.
Yeah, if you're watching on Cigar Federation, you can see a photo of them right there. I was actually going to ask you what that was in the background. I've never been to Pittsburgh. I've watched my Giants go into PNC Park and beat the Pirates a lot, but that's
it happens. Yeah. Now it's a great blue collar town. And that's kind of what the story behind the smoke itself was. We wanted something that was heavy. We wanted something that kind of emulated the strength that was Pittsburgh, which during the war movement, WW2, it was the backbone for the steel movement. Producing all those ships, producing all those tanks, producing all those anything that was involved, plus with the construction that came with the country. Pittsburgh doesn't really get the recognition that it usually does. I wanted to pay homage to something that meant a lot to me. A lot of my character, a lot of myself is in that city. Grandparents grew up there. My one grandfather was in the steel mill industry, and my mom's father was the commander of the North Side Police Department. So, I bleed black and gold in my veins.
Who do the Steelers play this week?
I don't know. It's probably going to be a horrible game.
Their offense has been on fire lately.
That's not enough. Our defense is glorified at this point. Like,
they play the Jets.
Any Steelers listening, don't blame me for this, but defense sucks.
That's not what I want to hear. I just picked them up for my fantasy team. They're playing the Jets this week.
Theoretically, that should be an easy game, but you never know with the Steelers these days.
Jets are pretty awful. So, Logan, I know you were smoking the 412. What are your thoughts? I know you just
No,
looked at it, but I'm putting you
let's wait until I've actually smoked more than 3 puffs on it, and then I'll make a decision. But question though, U.S. Steel started in Pittsburgh, right, with Carnegie?
Correct.
That's what I
It used
thought.
to be called Carnegie Steel, and then it became, like you said,
U.S.
U.S.
Steel. U.S. Steel. Okay. When he sold it to is J.P. Morgan, right?
I'm not entirely certain who he sold it to. I do know that Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, and there's a few other of the 5 families of America that kind of controlled every aspect of every industry within the United States. I wouldn't be surprised if he did sell it to somebody like that because they were kind of cronies.
And it was also Rockefeller was. Sorry, I'm a history nerd, so I gotta say it. Rockefeller was oil and gas. Carnegie was steel. Vanderbilt's were the rail systems, and then J.P. Morgan was whatever banking, finance. J.P. Morgan Chase, and then the only other one really that kind of comes in and out. God, what was the damn name? I don't remember. Anyways, but yeah, no, I watched the thing. It's called Building of America. I'm a history buff.
Yes, exactly. I mean, Hearst was kind of involved with those guys to some degree, but
That's right.
he was a lone wolf, so to speak.
Right, exactly. Okay. So, anyways, fun fact on Cigar Chat.
Yeah, you guys done?
Dude, I felt the same way when you were talking about the Steelers. I could give a crap less about pro football.
How empty your
Anyways.
life must be.
Dude, my life is so full with Callaway and Truman and Allie. I mean, I'm happy as a clam, man. I don't need football.
Big clam.
I know.
Okay, do you watch Family Guy? Either of you guys?
Occasionally.
Love Family Guy.
I always when Logan says he's happy as a clam, I picture that episode where Peter was dressed up as the quahog clam, and he was supposed to come in. And he was wearing this gigantic clam costume. That's Logan. You're the quahog clam.
Dude, I could do it. And I have a beard where I could have birds live in it. It'd be perfect.
You are a little bit Peter Griffin.
Yeah, I could totally do it.
That wasn't a very good impression, but I want to jump in here and start getting to some of these audience questions because I was I was complaining to our members that they weren't posting a lot of questions today, and then they all complained that I never get to all the questions. So I'm going to try to remedy that. First question here. Oh man, what is this guy's name? Atologics? We'll go with that. ATL Logics, maybe? He says, his question is there anything in particular that made you want to get into the cigar business? Yeah, how did you end up in this this very lucrative business that we call cigars?
Much to the chagrin of my father, I got into cigars in my freshman year of high school. My roommate, as I went to a boarding school, his father was a big cigar guy. He smuggled some cigars on the campus, as we're a non-smoking campus, and whenever we'd walk to town for dinner, to go to like the various different restaurants in town, like we'd always smoke a cigar on the way. Always had been a part of what I did. Always had the cigar whenever I'm on the golf course. Cigar whenever I was, driving around town. Cigar. Driving to school every day. Cigar. And celebratory times like church groups that we would go to. I would go to with my parents. All the guys there that my father was friends with smoked cigars. Ironically, my father was the only one that didn't smoke at all. When the idea came to us, Dave and myself and a departed partner, we kind of just sat around and figured like we could do this. Why not me? And it was a crazy idea at the time. Nobody really knew anything about it, and we went into it kind of blindly. Learned on the fly. Luckily, we didn't grow too big too quickly to the point that anything that would have been negatively happening, potential negatives, would have killed us. But no, we decided that we wanted to do something that we both loved. Why work for somebody else? Nothing against people that do, but we had the opportunity. And the one thing that we came to was either publishing a magazine about cigars or it was going to be making a cigar. And we figured this would be not just more fun, but also kind of more hands-on and probably better suited to it with our respective backgrounds and strengths. So that's kind of how we got into wanting to do it. And there's a lot that went in the beginning, the middle, and the end, and stuff that we're continuing to learn. And it's probably the best decision that I've made as far as what I wanted to do with my life. I love it. I love figuring out what makes people tick, why they maybe would like something I like. And when I blended the 412 being my first blend, you have no idea how much excitement in there. The only other moment in my life that kind of rivals this and the success it's having, the only thing I love more is the birth of my son. So I also pride myself in the fact that if he wants it, he can take over when he's ready. He's 3, so we got some time.
You got some time. You've got time to build the empire. I like that.
Exactly, before I get strategically knocked off.
Yeah. Dad, you're out. So tell me about the name. You guys settle on the name Veritas.
Veritas comes from my high school motto, which was Veritas sine timore, means truth without fear. Trying to figure out what you call yourself, I guess, in any industry outside of like a DuPont, where it's pretty simple. My name's DuPont, you know. We bounced around a whole bunch of names. Wanted something that meant something to us, so I had put proffered out there, like, why not Veritas? And everyone was like, cool, what's it mean? Well, it's Latin for truth. And where does it come from? Veritas sine timore. Whenever I was in high school, our senior project was you had to come up with a senior speech that said, what did truth without fear, Veritas sine timore, mean to you? And that kind of stuck in my mind ever since 18, so 13 some years ago. And it means to me, it's just don't let fear keep you from seeking out truth. Life's not going to be easy. You're not always going to have an easy way to getting to the answer that you want, and it's not always a non-evasive, like difficult, for the lack of a better word, way of coming about what you need all the time. But don't let the fear hold you back. And that's kind of what went into this. We had the fear, like, okay, what if we're going to screw up? What if none of us, we all know what we like about a cigar. I could tell you what I like about a Rocky Edge or a Toast or a Cuba Cuba from Drew Estate. I could tell you why I like a particular Padron. I don't know. We never knew what went into making that taste that way, that makes people like myself like that cigar. That was the fear. But you know what? Bit the tongue, bit the fear aside, took a couple trips to Nika. Still don't know everything I probably should know, but I'm always learning. And fear doesn't keep me from wanting to move forward. And it goes for the same for my partner. You know, there's a lot we don't know about this, but we know enough about the generalized business working that we could make it work and still learn. And that's the cool thing about the industry, is once we got into it, a lot of that fear was quelled. This industry is very receptive to people. As long as you don't go out of your way to stab somebody in the back, you'd be surprised how many people have their hand out to help you. There's a lot of people high up at bigger companies that were mentors of sorts to us along the way. So, it just proved that to us, we took that leap of faith, and it's paying dividends for us right now.
So who has been, since you brought it up, and I don't know if you can mention it or not, who has been a good mentor for you?
I have no problem saying that Sam Lucia has been a very good mentor for me.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
He's also a Pittsburgh guy. He lives down the street, ironically, from my godmother. It's funny, when I first met him, and he was kind of telling me where he was from, I'm like, dude, you're in West Mifflin? My godmother's in West Mifflin. And just never knew. But, he's been very helpful. Carlos Sanchez down at Tecasa has been very helpful. Rick Ardito is always
Diablo.
Once a year.
The Cuban Diablo. That guy got me so drunk. And took me to the damn casino until about 4 in the morning. And that guy is a friggin' animal. Him and Chris. Just unreal. Anyways, side note.
Well, yeah, a side note with Carlos, he taught me how to play dominoes with a whole bunch of Cubans, and my Spanish is conversational at best. And once I guess we were doing Pepsi and Flor de Cañas for a while with the absence of Coke. So we were doing Pepsi and rums, and then the Pepsi ran out, the ice ran out, so soon they were just pouring rum. Mm-hmm. And he decided to stop speaking, English, and he was just going all Spanish, and I had no idea what was happening in this game. I would just put a domino down, but we arrived at sunrise, took an hour's sleep, and went into the factory. He does have the tendency to do that.
Yeah, he's an animal. He's a cool guy, though. Definitely cool cat.
Rick Ardito has also been very helpful. He's lent me his ear very early on before he got really heavy back into 724. There's been a few other people. I made a lot of friends that were reps or along the way for major companies like in Padermo or Ashton. It's surprised who you meet, and you think that you're going to be an adversary just because that's the traditional way that business is approached, and then you come off of it, and it's just like you have a combined effort and a desire to everybody to want to succeed, especially now with the industry fighting all this FDA stuff. It's not like you want to stab each other's backs. You want to go at the FDA's throat instead. So it's a very nice industry, very small industry, and it's very family oriented. And you don't have to be blood relative to be considered family with most people.
No, that's not the first time that we've heard that from from one of our guests. On that note, guys, listening to Cigar Chat, brought to you live on CigarFederation.com, broadcast around the world in the Armed Forces Radio Network. Thanks for tuning in. We're here with Chris Weber from Veritas Cigars. This next segment, Logan, is brought to us by, let's see, we're going to say this one's brought to us by our good friends at Rodrigo Cigars. George over at Rodrigo Cigars has a giveaway going on right now. Custom-painted humidor from the Cigartist. I think that's how you say it. Like artist, but Cigartist. Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. But anyway, go to CigarFederation.com. There's a big banner across the top. You guys can enter to win. And I think if you win the humidor, it's with some Rodrigo samplings there as well. So check that out for sure. Logan, you were going to talk, and I cut you off. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty used to it. So, I got a question for you, Chris. So you talked about not being scared of fear, and I totally agree with you, because when you have a business, you've got to take some risks, right? And if you're scared, you're gonna get ran by, get passed by people, and you're never actually gonna ever make a decision. I mean, we've smoked the kind of the original torch, right? And I don't know if you guys, I don't think you guys are still producing those, but you guys kind of took a different direction with the 412, and then the one that Rob's smoking, that the name fails me. But what lessons did you learn from making those cigars, and then applied that to the second kind of round of releases this year?
We still offer the torch. We're offering it still in Connecticut and the Habano. The lessons that we kind of learned was that very early on, I'll give you one of the candid lessons, whether somebody of my level would admit this or not. We blended a cigar based around what we liked, and found out that what we liked isn't necessarily what the public likes. The most difficult part is trying to figure out, A, what's going to be a great smoke, but B, what's going to appeal to the most amount of people, because it's not always about you. Letting go of yourself, of your ego or your pride, or I think the Romans called it best hubris, and putting that aside to take yourself out of the product was the biggest thing that we had to overcome. The Torch Maduro is a great smoke. I love it. A lot of people like it. It wasn't so popular because we blended something that was a little bit more mellow. It wasn't heavy, and this was back when there was that resurgence of I want that big, in-your-face, knock me down, come back up for another heavy Maduro. And we didn't blend one of those. And that was when we took to that post-Torch, when we were developing these other two blends, we put a lot more feedback from what our customers were, our fans were. I have no problem asking whenever I go into a shop, and one of my favorite shops, and I'll give them a shout out, the Dirty Dog in McKeesport, Pennsylvania, by far my favorite shop, but that's in my hometown, so of Pittsburgh.
Right.
And whenever I go in, I have no problem asking the customers what they like. I say, why do you smoke that? Tell me what you'd like to see come out from somebody else. And there's, I'm not necessarily saying that there was a lot of end user that went into either of these two sticks, but that thought was definitely at the forefront of our minds.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, let me just ask you. I think what you brought up is a good point, because everyone's, you hear all the time, everyone's palate's different. I mean, how do you turn that off, right? Like, I mean, it's easy for me to say, well, I review cigars, so I'll tell you if I think people are going to like it or not. It doesn't make it true, but how do you turn that piece of your brain off and kind of keep that subjectivity on what do you think the market will like just versus yourself? Do you know what I mean? How do you flip that switch?
For myself, it's realizing in the end that what I really want isn't necessarily going to get me what I want. It's the hardest part for anybody, especially if you're a brand owner, and regardless of what industry that you're in. Um, I would think that if you believe the legend that Steve Jobs was the only person that ever did that successfully by not turning off that switch in his head. But whether it's beer or wine or cigars, like three industries that kind of go hand in hand, or four even if you can count the spirits industry. I don't know how other people do it, but for myself, and I'll speak for my partner Dave, it's just realizing that at the end, you're going to put some of your influence into it. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be what the complete picture is, but being able to not just please yourself is the main thing that it works for me. And that I put a lot of love into this blend for the 412. I absolutely love it, and I love the feedback that we've gotten on it so far. Not everything was completely me, though, because in the beginning, not a real heavy Maduro smoker. I didn't like the big, heavy Maduros. Habano was my favorite smoke by far. And then as I got into blending, I actually learned to love Maduro a lot more when we were making this. So it's I opened my mind to possibilities, and I actually became a fan of something I didn't think I'd like.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I think that just is telling with cigar smokers in general. I mean, the true cigar nerds, right, are the ones that don't necessarily like something but try it because they want to see what it's all about. Do you know what I mean? So exactly. I think that's very telling. Final question before I give it back to Rob here is that I know you guys aren't necessarily new, but how do you guys do your distribution? I mean, is it you guys out on the road pounding the pavement? I mean, are you using brokers? Do you have a sales force? And what made you choose? I always find this very interesting, is that people are like, the barrier to entry to making cigars is not difficult. If you got some cash and you have a passport, you can make a cigar. That's not tough. The problem is that once you've got the cigars, then how do you get them in the hands of customers? And I'm curious, whatever distribution strategy that you took, why did you take that?
Yes to all three. Yes, we hit the pavement. We're the definition of a road warrior, if I could borrow Alec Bradley's latest phrase. We have sales brokers, and we have an independent sales force as well. Interesting that we chose to do all three, because I really hear that it's either A, you start by yourself, then you go to a broker, then when you get renowned, you'll get your own in-house people. For us, there's nothing I love more than putting my product, our product, into the hands of the end user. So I love going on the road to shops, trying to figure out when their peak times are, when they're going to have their most loyal customers in, when they're going to have maybe when they can expect a whole bunch of people coming in, because I'd like to see the reaction, how they think. And you'd be surprised how honest people will be in this industry when, as far as customers. Whereas you look at something like, if Robert Mondavi came to do a wine tasting, even if his wine sucked, they're going to kiss his butt. Oh, but sure. There's a very poignant, candid truth that is within this industry, whereas if they don't like your cigar, they got no problem telling you why it sucks, or why they don't like it, or where they think it can improve. So that's kind of why I like to go out onto the road. I think I get better feedback that way. Not that I don't trust what somebody that works for us would tell me. I just like to see it for myself. Seeing is believing. We use an independent sales force in certain regions. We got Mahesh, who works for us out in California. He'll slowly go into Arizona, New Mexico, and Oregon. And he's worked solely for us. He worked with Andy Cigarman Sharfman for a while. Oh, yeah. Getting his game up, getting his connections up, and now he's working solely for us. He's doing really well. Very happy. We got Ryan Ponist up in Pittsburgh. He reps for us in AKA, and I want to say he also reps for Gramworks, who makes our ashtray that we have going for giveaway today. And then we got Renee up in New York. Nate McCorkle down in North Carolina is doing amazing for us. He's a broker, though. The reason why we use brokers in certain regions, Dave and myself can't be two places at once. No, well, technically we can't. We can't be four places at once. We can't be 5 places at once, 6 places at once. So it took us a while before we really went to the route of trusting somebody else with the brand, and not that it was a lack of trust or they're untrustworthy people. They're ultimately going to represent you. Anything that they do represents you. They get in a car accident, it's you. They offends somebody, it's you. So there's a certain level of trust, and that's why we've chosen the sales force and the brokers that we have. At first, it was Dave, myself, a few key people that helped us out early on, still with us today, John Storolakis and Wayne Young. They're still with us. We met them at our first IPCPR. At the time, they worked for a retailer. They stopped in the retail realm and went to sell cigars, and they work with us. We never look at people like they work for us. We're all a big family here at Veritas. Everybody's concerted effort goes towards the same goal. And when I succeed, Dave succeeds. When we succeed, they succeed. When they succeed, we share in the success that we have, and we're very proud of the people that we have. Maybe we took this route to getting to brokers and reps a little bit too slowly, and partly to our own detriment for growth early on, but we're happy with where we are now. We're doing very well. So to kind of answer, it's a trust thing, and I trust them to represent me. Dave trusts them to represent him. We trust them with the Veritas name. So that was part of why it took so long to get there. But when you get to that point, it pays dividends.
I have so many other questions I want to ask, but I feel like I'm monopolizing the time. So, Rob, ask a couple audience questions, so that way Donald.
Questions generate good answers.
I know, well, because I'm freaking awesome. Yeah, see, that's conceited. But anyways, my next question would be, is that you brought up a very interesting point about brokers, and they are kind of it's like using where I work, using a reseller, right? I mean, they're selling your product, they're kind of representing your brand. If they screw something up, it's not them, it's you, right? It's Veritas, it's the brand. So obviously being very selective, I mean, I totally agree with that. I want to get your opinion on this, though, is that, there's some people in the industry that use kind of brokers 100%, that use 100% in-house, or maybe they just use Sam Lucia, right? Like, I mean, he was out doing it himself for a long time, right? I mean, that guy's got higher status on American Airlines than I do, and that's tough because I travel quite a bit for work. But my question is that, when it comes to that, I mean, how do you feel customers' reception is not talking to the brand owners, right? Like in shops, brand owners are kind of like celebrities, right? And when they come in with Veritas, do you feel like there's a letdown that you aren't there, versus kind of a representative on your behalf? I mean, do you think it takes away or adds less that you're not there? Do you know what I mean? I've always been curious about someone's perception on that.
I understand exactly what you're saying there. Yes, it does take away. But to counter that, myself and Dave, we make a point to go out with reps. We will visit the store, not always, but eventually, any store that they've gone to, you'll see my face. I will make a point to go there. Because even if that takes money out of our pocket, I want you to have that experience, because customers love that. Everyone loves the I know somebody who, and it could be just I met Jorge Padron once, and now all of a sudden, oh man, I know Jorge Padron. Here's a picture I got with him. So it's people like that, but more so than that, they also like to see that you're not just relying on somebody else behind your product. And this takes nothing away from the brokers or the reps that work for us, because they do an excellent job and they're stellar at what they do. But at the same time, I want to get my face out there, not for an ego trip, not for anything other than if you have a question, I'm the person that can answer it. Most of the reps that we have that are reps, not brokers, know just about everything there is to know about us. But people still like to see the face behind the name. So Dave and I go out there and we usually he'll go one place, I'll go another place, and then I'll be over here and Dave will be down there, and then we'll switch and we'll go catty corner again across the country, and make it work. And it works. Not being on the road, if there's any company that does that with any industry, like whether it's beer, liquor, wine, or cigars, if your face isn't out there, it's either a slow road to success, a slow road to growth. But I think a lot of people, especially store owners, like to see that a brand person is not just tossing this out there because, like you had mentioned before, Logan, if you do have any amount of money and a passport, you can own a cigar company.
Exactly.
It's the people that put their names out there and people that do it very well. Eddie Terrazona does well at it. If you look at the story of Drew Estate, even
Yep.
There was nothing but doing that. And Jonathan still to this day is everywhere. And people love that, and he likes giving the customers what they want. They probably take a little bit less at the end of the year, but highly successful company, and they got loyal customers. And if you can reach the customer on that level, you're instantly loyal. Even if they don't like their product, they'll respect it, and then they'll still talk about it nicely. So I see the value in doing it, and we genuinely enjoy doing store events, even when we go out on sales calls with the reps.
Good answer. Interesting.
I'm gonna jump in. I got kind of a follow-up question here. It's timely with what we're talking about. This one's from Charlie. He says, "I've seen your ad in Cigar Press. What else are you doing? I mean, outside. I mean, obviously we've been talking about in-store events. What else are you doing to get your name out there in this totally packed cigar industry?"
Well, me being here is the start of something new that we're going to try. We'll be working with Cigar Federation, obviously you guys. We work with Cigar Dojo. What I mentioned before that Dave and I have very similar backgrounds, Dave being my partner, Dave Larison, who's the president, CEO, chief ash controller of Veritas. But we come from 3 generations removed, so what worked necessarily back for him in his early days, and he was very successful. He was a regional manager for 7-Eleven. He ran a few dinner houses that were highly successful in their own right. What worked back then doesn't work right now. The biggest thing that the difference between both of us is I love this, digital. I love anything digital because Thor does a great job with Cigar Press, and I love the magazine. I take nothing away from anything that he does. He's putting it into a digital format, so I'm told, and that's what I like. The ability, and Dave again agrees with me on this now, is the world's changed. How putting a $60,000 ad in Cigar Aficionado, while is a status symbol, and I'm not saying that it's the wrong thing to do. Plenty of people do it. I don't have that kind of budget. Dave doesn't have that kind of budget. We don't have that much money to put towards a bi-monthly magazine annually, looking at like $250,000. On top of that, how do I know who's looking at that? If I can do stuff on Facebook, Twitter, the Cigar Dojo, Cigar Federation, you get interaction, but you get real-time interaction. So in the times where I can't be say I'm at a store in Cleveland and somebody asks a question of me from the product on Twitter or Dojo or Federation or Facebook even, I can give them an answer immediately, and they can have that real connection. While I don't like all the nonsense that comes with social media, all the distraction that's been created, I mean, you look at higher rates of ADD being diagnosed in kids now because you can be 10,000 places at once with Wikipedia alone on your phone. I've wasted entire days on my phone just doing Wikipedia on random stupid stuff. But it allows what the internet and then the social networks have created is the ability for a company to have real-time, real feedback, real communication, a real relationship with their customers regardless of where they are in the world. I can talk to somebody right now who's a fan of our cigars in the Philippines, in China, in England, and people over in Cork, Ireland even. And I wouldn't be able to do that before without going over there. So you can get that live feedback. So there's more digital stuff that we're going to be gearing towards in the first quarter of the next year, where you're going to see us doing a lot more online and less print. And probably weaning off of print entirely. And there's nothing against print, but when they say print is dead, unfortunately it is, because you can put your beautiful ad there, and you can design this ad, and it could be Mona Lisa in quality, and Leonardo da Vinci can design the perfect ad for you, but you have no idea if someone's going to turn to that page in that magazine. Online, I can put it in a strategic place, like a banner ad, like on Cigar Federation or anywhere else, and I know that people are going to see it. And that's the key right there. Is you get more reach, better feedback, better visibility online. So we're going to do a lot more digital stuff. And of course, we'll be tweeting more where we're going. Our reps will be tweeting more and more the stores that they're in. We'll do giveaways and stuff like that are revolving around like Twitter campaigns or something of that nature. More and more of these ashtrays, T-shirts, and we're going to be moving into hats, maybe not this year, but the following year, stuff like that. Cigar giveaways, of course, are the best in this industry, so we'll be doing more, and we'll be looking to sites like the Cigar Federation to do things like that.
Cool. and that's we've talked to a lot of different people and asked that a similar type of question, and that the print budget is just, I mean, to get into some of these magazines, and it's a great place to be. Like you said, there's merit to it, obviously, but not everybody can afford that, man. That's such a big nut to crack. That just being even a relatively new company, or even a company that's been around for 10, 15 years, it's still tough to write that check, man. No matter how you look at it.
Exactly. I don't think I've spent $60,000 yet on advertising. Don't have it.
No, I hear you. We'll get into some more audience questions here in a second. Just you guys were listening to Cigar Chat, brought to you live at CigarFederation.com. Broadcast around the world, the Armed Forces Radio Network. Thanks for tuning in wherever you are out there in the world today. We're here with Chris Weber from Veritas Cigars. Next segment, Logan, brought to us by who?
The next segment, Robert, is brought to, yeah, I know, man, is brought to us by our good friends at Hoya de Nicaragua. So if you guys didn't know, you definitely need to check it out. Right now until I believe it's the 15th, Hoya is giving away a trip to the Nicaraguan Cigar Festival in 2015. So you can come to Cigar Federation. There's tons of banner ads. So all you got to do is click on it. And the way you enter, pretty easy, is either on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Is go get a Hoya Red. Obviously, a bunch of Fed heads already got them because we've had one on before. But if you don't, go to your local shop or pick one up online and take a picture of it, post it to, like I said, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, talking about your experience using the hashtag #RediscoverHoya, and you'll be entered to a chance to win to the 4th annual Cigar Festival in Nicaragua, which is, from what I have heard, is pretty awesome, and I've been to Nicaragua, and it's pretty sweet. So do it now. That's all I got.
Okay, you're getting so good at those.
Oh, thank you, Rob.
I'm gonna go take a picture right now. No, I'm not. Just gonna get back to some of these audience questions. This is more of so you've already addressed this, but this is from Dave Nichols. He says he loves that you're using the Pennsylvania broadleaf, mostly because it's about 30 minutes down the road from him. So,
yep.
He's a local guy, local to you, not local to me. It says not many people are using it. The only other person he sees using it is AJ Fernandez, which we've talked about. That's where you got it. He had it on the Diesel Shorty just recently, and he loved it. Question from Matt here. I'm not really. I probably should have ran this one by you beforehand, but I'm gonna just throw it out there anyway, and you can decide to answer or not. He says, "Is there any truth to the rumor that your good friend Sam might have had a quote-unquote suggestion or two on on either or both of your new blends?"
To one of them, yeah. Yes. Sam Lucia has been a very devout friend, advisor to us. Called the Pittsburgh Bond, but you know what? He's a open and honest guy. He's one of the guys that does those in-store events very, very well that you've mentioned before. But we're working on another project that may get shelved depending on time constraints and budget constraints. It's something that we won't necessarily talk about until we know it's going to be finalized, in which he is intricate in the design of that. So there might be another co-blend or whatever you want to call it with Sam out there. That will come in the near future. Not wanting to speak for him or what he'd like me to talk about, I will just say that he has helped us very much.
Fair enough. We had Sam on. God, was it about a year ago, Logan?
It's been pretty close. Yeah, he was in his garage partying, and he had a urinal in his garage, and we kept seeing pictures of people pissing. It's true, though. It was nuts, man.
Yeah, he's got a nice urinal set up in his garage that empties outside.
He's got a nice setup in his garage that happens to have a
urinal
facility in the background, which
that too.
People going in and out.
That was amazing.
Yeah, that was a fun show. He's doing some big things too, so good for him. Let's see. Let me get some more of these questions here. So Punch Nubbit wants to know. He says went to your website to check it out. That must have been yesterday, and he didn't see a mention of any of your new products on there. So he was curious: is there somewhere he can go to find some more information? If you're looking on Cigar Federation, I mean the blend and everything is all broken down right there on the CigarChat page if you're watching. But where can somebody go to find some of that info?
That's it should be on the site, and I'm aware that it's not there yet. We are changing. I'm not a tech person. We're changing the person that does all the coding on that. Time has obviously been an issue, so I hope to have that up by the end of the month, and God willing, it will be a lot sooner than that. Right now, Cigar Federation's got the blend on there. I'll put it on our Facebook page to put it up there, and I'll start putting it more and more towards the top. The website's been something that's been a matter of contention for us. We're constantly working on it. Anybody that runs a site knows that there's a lot involved in it, and not being a web person per se, it's not my forte, so I rely completely on people outside of here. And Dave and myself are not, I would say I'm very web savvy, more so than most. I don't know what goes into making a website. So we got a very good referral from a very good friend of ours, Ryan Gallimore from Swinger Cigars.
Mm-hmm.
And he recommended us his web girl. So I'm going to be working with her and hopefully getting quicker turnaround, faster edits, more informative information, and might be a little bit of a redesign in there too, but not too much. I'm pretty happy with the way it's at now.
Cool. So on back-to-back questions, I blindsided you with some rumors, and I got somebody in trouble. We're on a good roll here.
You're awesome, Rob.
Yeah. Logan, maybe you should ask all these questions. Comment from a huge nerd. He was talking about the name of the company. We already addressed that. This one's from the Nothing. He says, for someone who's not familiar with your cigars or your brand, which cigar would you recommend as a good representation of your whole line, or maybe like a good intro cigar into your line?
To answer both sides of that question, nice intro would be our Connecticut. Our Connecticut's absolutely phenomenal in my mind. It's it's got the Jalapa filler, the binder's Indonesian. It's an Ecuadorian Connecticut, and unlike other Connecticut's, it's got a kick to it. It's not bland. It's definitely on the heavier side when it comes to Connecticut's, which I think is a good representation of kind of what we are. It's just not in this to make cigarette ash. I'm here to make a quality smoke that tastes amazing, and I think that we've done that with every single one. But a good intro would definitely be the Connecticut, because it's hard to roll with Connecticut. Very thin wrapper, and it can break very easily. It gets brittle when it gets dry. That'd be a great intro smoke. One that encapsulates and kind of says everything about it. To go against my favorite 412, I'd definitely put it up on the Veritas. Very complex. It shows that we're not just about the fresh kids on the block. We're making a great smoke too. This is it. It's complex. There's many different. I mean, we've spoken about this earlier in the show, but it shows that we're diverse. We went old school on the band in particular. I'm not sure how good the detail is on the pictures on the site, but we actually stamped in little Romanesque little stylings on it. It's a very, very old, I would say, Roman style, to go back to the Veritas name, on the band. Reminds me a lot of Gladiator, which I've been watching nonstop, smoking this in my. I have a TV on the outside on my deck, and I sit out there and smoke there because I'm not gonna put smoke in my house where my son comes in. Being 3, it wouldn't be good with my ex-wife. But I sit out there, I watch Gladiator, man, and it just kind of reminds me of something like that. Back then, you look at the civilization that lived back then, where it was very complex, and yet it worked for a long time until they got too big on their egos and they got overtaken. So, kind of keeps us humble. This is a very humble beginning with a very complex cigars. Well, humble in that the band is rather bland by band standards out there today. You can find 1,000 different ones that are more intricate and detailed, but this, I think I need to sell the smoke on the band. This cigar smoke sells itself, really.
Yeah, and that's again, that's the one I'm smoking. I'm just about down to the nub here. I really enjoyed it. It's throughout the whole thing, after that first half inch with the spice, when the spice started to calm down, it's got like a thick, earthy kind of sweetness to it that I really, really enjoy. I mean, a lot of that flavor I think is coming from the wrapper, but I really do enjoy it. And again, we'll have some reviews posted up here pretty soon. I've got a couple of people have asked in reference to your, I think this is going to be our last question, based on Logan's thing there.
Shut up.
Was there any, you chose to work with a Pennsylvania broadleaf. Did you have any thoughts of using a Connecticut broadleaf? Was there a reason that you chose between the two, or was it just kind of to go back to the whole 412 thing?
Yeah, it's a pretty simple answer. Yeah, I wanted the Pennsylvania thing, and Pennsylvania, the theme behind it, you know, when I was going through the first part of my divorce, family is what was the biggest thing that was there for me immediately, and that just everybody being from Pittsburgh, that was key. It was a bond that was there that solidified that. But that was the meaning behind the 412, not that that would ever be the full reason behind it. Connecticut broadleaf is something that we'd like to work with. Definitely, probably will. With 2 Maduros on the market, I'm not entirely certain what our next blend would be, although there is, you know, a half a dozen in the works at the moment. At any given time, we're always trying to reinvent ourselves, because the worst thing you could do is just stay stagnant with what you have and expect that to be the best. You always have to come out with something new. Connecticut broadleaf is not something that we're currently working with of those half a dozen projects that might be the next blend that we release. But that doesn't mean it won't be. As of now, it's not. It's a solid smoke. I tried it when we were doing the 412, but that was before I had the opportunity to get the leaf off of AJ for the Pennsylvania, and that worked out very well. And it played into what I was going for with the story behind that one project. So I wouldn't say that it was even a choice between the two. So nothing nitty-gritty there, but Connecticut broadleaf is probably something that we will work with. When it will be, I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. That's kind of what I figured, but we had a few people that addressed that same question, so I thought I'd get it out there. So that kind of wraps up our show. We've got we're just right up against it. Chris, really do appreciate it. Again, Chris Weber from Veritas Cigars, thanks for taking the time to hang out with us. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Armed Forces Radio Network for listening. We appreciate it. Everything you guys are out there doing for us, keeping us safe, we appreciate that. We'll be back next week. We've got Gabriel from Maya Selva Cigars going to be here next week, so we'll be back at the same time. So, again, Chris, really do appreciate it. Real quick, in about 20 seconds, let everybody know where they can find you online.
Where they can what?
Where they can find you online.
I'm on Facebook, Veritas Cigars Chris. I'm also on Twitter at Veritas Cigars. I want to say there's a fake account out there that's not ours. So if you see a lot of followers, that's us.
And then we'll soon see an updated VeritasCigars.com in the works.
Yes,
as well.
very, very soon.
Cool.
That is our immediate project.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back with you guys next week. Everybody stay safe.
And we're fucking back. We're in the last segment where we can cuss as much as we want. Fuck you, Rob.
That should be how you.
We should record it.
That should be like our drop that explains what the show is about. Logan's excited and fuck you, Rob.
Yeah, fuck you, Rob.
It's pretty much what it boils down to. So we got through, and I mean everybody was giving me a hard time. We got through most of the questions. I think there were a couple that kind of were duplicates, you know, and some things we addressed without actually asking the direct question. So I feel pretty good about that. Logan, I know we've got the giveaways. What are we giving away tonight?
Fuck. I've got it all down.
Cigars, but then Chris mentioned ashtrays. I didn't know we had ashtrays in there too. This is what happens when all this stuff goes to Logan. He's probably just now opening the box.
No, I got it right here, fuckface. I got it right here. So hold on, motherfuckers. All right, so we've got. Ooh, I like this. This was done by the guy we talked to at IPCPR. Yeah, okay. I know who this guy is. So that's the ashtray. We've got just a fuck ton of cigars. There we go. And we got a box. So, I mean, I'm cool with doing it, just the old normal fashion. What I mean, unless you guys have any better ideas, but I'm gonna be, and just so everyone knows, I've been a little behind on shipping stuff out, and we've had a couple of manufacturers, not Veritas, they were very on top of it, just so you know, but a couple manufacturers that only took fucking 2 months to get us the cigars, but that's neither here or there. They will remain nameless, but they will be going out probably tonight. I think I'm gonna stay up and just knock that shit out. So, and I got a scale. It's going to be all fancy, so there'll be no packages getting returned because I try to sneak in the small boxes flat rate or whatever. So none of that bullshit anymore. UPS caught my ass. But anyways, let's just have everyone email me. Logan at Cigar Federation. Let's do Veritas Cigars, and then just put your full name, address, and then I've got a ton of cigars, so we'll give away. Let's do this. One person will get a box of the 412. Another person, second prize winner, will get, say, 10 cigars with the ashtray, and then I'll just give away a smattering of 5-packs. And then also, if you're listening to this on the podcast and or on YouTube, from starting 11/7 to, what the fuck date is it? What's the next fucking Wednesday? Let's say, till the 13th, and you email me and do the exact same thing, Logan at Cigar Federation, Veritas Cigars, full name, address, and put podcast. I'll pick 2 winners for 5-packs out of those as well.
Cool. So how many winners are you picking tonight? 5?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
Checking, people are going to want to know.
I mean, hell.
And if you're watching the show live and then you don't win, and then in a couple days you email with the podcast, we'll know.
I'll fucking know, because believe it or not, I save these fucking emails, and you'd be surprised how many fucking assholes out there. No offense, assholes, but how many of you assholes will email me, and I really honestly think that they've got an email set on a timer, where if our timing is a little off, especially Jay Reiniger, he'll email me and he'll be way early before we've even done it, and it'll be Veritas Cigars, here's my address. I don't know, he scheduled the email because he's busy or something. I don't know, it's ridiculous. But anyways.
Predictable.
I am fucking, dude, I am a creature of habit.
Yeah, we need to break that cycle. So we're not going to announce the winners tonight, but you'll just email everybody back. We'll post it up on the site tomorrow. Sound good?
Fuck it, why not?
Yeah, let's do that. So I want to just, Logan, if you've got any last questions, go ahead and ask them. I want to make sure that we got through all these questions. I'm gonna just
while you're trying to figure it out. Yeah, I mean,
real quick.
I don't know if I have any particular question. I guess one question I was curious about is on the 412. You said you use a San Andreas binder. Can you share, what family or what farm that comes from? Is it Aganorsa? Do you use Pedro Martin? I mean, where do you source your San Andreas from?
That's one thing we try not to give too much away. Otherwise,
fair enough.
You worry about people biting your blends. But not that I would have a blend worth biting. I actually don't even have my notebook on me. I figured I'd be prepared. I had everything but that. I can get that answer to you.
So no, that's cool. I was just curious.
I'll jump in and save everybody here. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what he's referring to, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. Texican wants to know, he says, any chance of cars, bars, and cigars starting back up?
Oh, my God. Fuck.
There it is. We got one out of him. That's good.
No, I was surprised at how well I tamed my potty mouth during the entire fucking broadcast. I don't know. Is the God's honest truth to that. That was the magazine that we were going to be publishing. It involved somebody else at the time that's no longer involved in the company. Just a little bit too busy right now with between travel and hitting shops, new blends, hitting the factory in Nica. Going to be getting down to Dominican Republic in the first quarter to do something with another cigar with Lewis. I don't know. I personally don't have the time to do it.
It sounds like a fun project.
It was great. And if you look at the Cars, Bars, and Cigars page on Facebook, it moderates itself. And really, it's not really anything about bars and cigars or bars and cars at all. I don't have the time or the desire right now to immediately go back into putting that site up. I will say that the thought has crossed Dave and my mind as to how we can correlate both and not just use it as a platform for Veritas, but use it as a platform for boutiques to try and bring more notoriety to the boutiques. Not that we don't get any love from anybody in the cigar industry, but there's a lot of great small brands out there that probably just don't know what they're doing as far as getting to market, and I'd like to be involved in helping them because we were in that same category. And it just so happened that some big guys at the time wanted to reach their hand out and help us along the way. So it's definitely an idea that's passed across our minds. It will happen, just not anytime soon, probably. The most active you'll probably see it utilized and more so will be on the Facebook page before we even get a site together.
It sounds like one of those shows that you would see on, like, not the Food Network because that wouldn't really work, but one of those channels, and you see this guy who just goes to all these different bars around the country, and he's always driving a cool car, and he's smoking a different cigar every week, and you think, God, how do I get that job?
Yeah, right.
That's what it sounds like.
The Guy Fieri of the cigar industry.
Yeah, it sounds like $1 million idea, and I'd love to be a part of it.
Let's talk. We'll figure out how to do it.
You need a host. I do well on camera.
You do. You got a face made for fucking radio.
I don't say I look good on camera. No, that's okay. And then the final question, and this question's been asked a ton of times, and I've never asked it because I know the answer. Who would win in a fight, me or Logan? And you've never met us in person.
Sorry.
What's that?
I'll go with Rob.
Oh, hey!
You'd be betting your money on the wrong horse there, my friend.
Where are the sound effects at? I did not see that. You can tell he's never met us in person.
He's never met us in person.
Logan is. I would be my biggest assets in the fight with Logan would be speed and stamina. That would be it. It would be like. Have you ever seen what's the movie Zombieland, where he's got all the rules and rule number 1 is cardio? Like that would be me. I would be running around in the circle and he would just never catch me.
There you go. I win.
Yeah, no, you may be right. You may be right. Ha!
He tires himself out. You pop him in the balls, and then.
Yeah, and then run for it.
My wife took my balls 3.5 years ago, so I'm good there.
Yeah, we gotta find him first.
What's Mario Punch Out or whatever? Like I'm like the fucking Sandman, where I hit you once and you're fucking down. But Rob's the little dude that goes around and is like jumping up. You know what I'm talking about? You played that shit. Like that's how it would be. Rob might hit me a bunch, might not take me down. If I hit Rob once, it might be over. I don't know.
Like the charging bull guy. Which one was he? Where he would just back up and then just charge at you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's funny. No, wow. I'm gonna start asking that question more often. Only with people who haven't met us in person, because it's hard to tell. Logan's he's much stronger than I am, but
there was actually one question I saw when I was reading the questions, and somebody was asking about our tri-blend. I wanted to make sure that I addressed as many questions as possible. I know I'm a little long-winded at times. Where would blending that thing is definitely difficult to address the last part of that. Where would you see it again because we don't offer it? Well, that's one of those little projects that might be in the works right now. And our good friend Sam may or may not be involved in that project. We'll figure out. You know, we started the project as an idea with him to revamp it. It will no longer be called the Try. It will have. We already secured trademark and everything with it, so all that stuff, all that work is done. How we launch it, will he be available with his new capacity over at General to be a part of it? I don't know. Would he be willing to do it on the side? Is he allowed to? Don't know. Is there interest on both sides? That all has to be worked out with because we still have a lot of exciting stuff to do. That was probably the most fun cigar that we've ever done. Definitely enjoyed it. It will be chock full of flavor when it is redone. and we'll see where it's going to be redone at, and it looks like it might be done at Lewis's factory as well. But you'll see a completely rebranded Try, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Complete name, logo, everything, even packaging.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you spotted that question. I don't know how I missed it. I think that's the only one I missed.
It was like somewhere down towards the bottom.
You know what? I must have scanned over it thinking that it was something that we already addressed.
Fucking slacking.
I did. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I mean, and people say I don't pay attention. Yeah, attention to detail's never been one of my strong suits. You can ask me.
But you're a graphic designer by trade. That makes no sense to me because that's all the job is.
It's a different. That's Rob. That's work, Rob. Like that's me, and then work, Rob. Kind of like when it was like the Hulk and it was the dude, and then Lou Ferrigno.
Yes.
You guys are probably too young to remember that, but
yeah, I'm way too young.
That was. God, I used to love that show when I was a kid.
It used to be on public television after school every single day. You always see the slow motion metamorphosis up to the big Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah, see, I watched them when they were like it was on Tuesday nights or whatever. Yeah, you kids and your rock and roll music. I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Logan, any more questions? I told Chris we'd have him here for an hour, and it's been an hour and 5 minutes.
I'm fucking peachy. I think we're good.
Cool. Well, that's Chris. We're gonna wrap it up, man. Thank you so much for hanging out and finding the one question that I missed and letting us blindside you with rumors and getting your web person in trouble.
He knows he's in trouble.
I enjoyed the show, man. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the cigar. Like I said, I have a review coming up probably in the next couple weeks. And Logan's going to do the review the 412, or maybe I will too, and we'll see. But I do appreciate it. The cigar's really good. You guys got to look for that one, and it's $6. That's a nice price point too. So, again, Chris, appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, brother.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time, and hopefully, we can work together in the future. And anything we can help, just let us know. Cool.
Go.
Of course. Thank you, guys. Deuces.
Later, fuckers.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Everybody have a good weekend.